Hi everyone, welcome back to the Spotlight. Please like, favourite and subscribe. I didn't want to make this video today. I was going to leave a video for the West Ham game because it was obviously going to be a nothing game. But it seemingly has really annoyed a lot of Man United fans, that game yesterday. Even though we probably went in it thinking we might lose. Even though we know it's a nothing game. We're 16th in the league. We've gone to Old Trafford against West Ham, who haven't won in 8 games, and turned up and rolled out like we're on summer camp. And whatever you think about it, it's unacceptable. Whether you think the players are waiting for the Europa League final, it's unacceptable. It's a week and a half away. Yoro looks like he's injured. The players have gone out there today and stunk the place out. And we've said that a lot of times this season. But there was something about yesterday's performance that was really just awful. Like, how can you go there to Old Trafford against West Ham, who haven't won in 8 games, and basically let them walk around the pitch like they're on a training camp and win the game comfortably? And people will say we had chances again and we can't take them, and I do tend to agree with that. But the reality of the fact is, it is just absolutely unacceptable where we are. And I'm not going to call out just the players or just Amorim on this. It is both. I just want to talk a little bit about us winning. I think, is it 6 games or 5 games in the last 25 or 26 Premier League games? Again, and I've said this before, it is unacceptable. We cannot be Manchester United and not won. I think if we don't win against Chelsea and Villa, which they're still playing for the Champions League places, we'll have lost 19 games out of 38. Is it half the games we will have lost? And then we're going to have 39 points at the end of the season. 11 teams before us have been relegated with 43 points or less. We are so lucky that the gulf between the Premier League and the Championship has become what it is, because 3 or 4 years ago, we'd have gone down. And everybody's saying Bruno saved us from going down. He hasn't. What has saved us from going down is the teams coming up from the Championship being absolutely, totally and utterly abysmal. Nobody saved us. Nobody has rescued us. Nobody is the saviour. Every one of those players has been a total and utter joke. You cannot argue that fact. The only probably shining light of the whole thing is Ahmad. But I will caveat this with Ahmad. Since he's been at Man United, he's been injured a lot. He's been injured half of this season. Like, if he is what we're relying on to take us forward and he can't stay fit, we are going nowhere. And I'll say again, we're going nowhere anyway. The signings, right? I just want to quickly mention this. What do people think? So Agate, Dorgu, Mazwari, Delit, the 4 main ones. Yoro, he's a kid, so we can sort of let him out. And I'm not going to include Heaven and Obi because they are youth players. But the 4 senior, I mean, Dorgu's young as well, isn't he? But he's been thrown into the first team as a first team player, so he's getting included in this. Are they good enough? Everybody said we're recruited well. These players, if you count Dorgu, I know he's only been here since January, but Mazwari, Delit, Agate, Yoro to some extent, that's 5 players of 11 that step out onto the pitch. They were all bought within this season. We're still 16th. So 5 players is half your team, half your outplaying team, and we're still 16th. So what is it? Are they not good enough, or is it the players that are playing with them that are not good enough? So who's playing with them that we're saying not good enough? Højlund, we know he's not good enough. Garnacho, I'd say he's not good enough. Bruno, some people say he's good enough. I would say he's not. Who else is there? Delo's played a lot of the season. He's been really poor. So what do we think about the recruitment? Is it good enough? Because I'll quickly go through them now. Agate, I've said it loads of times, don't rate him. I think he's Fred 2.0. He's not good in the air. He's not good on the ball. He's not good with his back to goal. He runs around and tackles like Fred used to, and we outed Fred out the club and replaced him with Fred 2.0. And I think it's coming to light with Agate over the last few weeks. He's getting a lot of criticism. And I have sat here and said it for months about Agate. You can go watch my videos. If we want to go anywhere in the Premier League with a 2 in midfield, don't forget, in this Amorim system, he can't be in it. And if we end up next season buying a couple of new number 10s and it's a Bruno and Agate pivot next season, forget it. Forget being in Europe next season with a Bruno and Agate pivot, because neither of them are pivot players. Neither of them can dictate the pace of the game. Neither of them are good at simple passing. Neither of them are good in the air. And neither of them... I mean, I know Agate's mobile and he gets round the pitch, but he's not, like, controlling mobile, is he? Physically, like, dominating in the midfield like a Roger he is, like a Rice is. He's a busybody. He gets around the pitch and tackles. That's what he is. You've got to be better than that. And I'll say it again. I've said it loads of times. Amorim sold him once. You could argue it was for profit for Sporting. He went to PSG. They got Enrique in, who was pretty much the first player he sold to buy some better midfielders. Agate. And where are PSG now? The best team in the Champions League and in the Champions League final. That's all you need to know about Agate. While he's running around like an headless chicken in our midfield, we are not moving up that Premier League. Well, not to where we want to be anyway. De Ligt, I think, has been a solid signing. I didn't mind the fee for him, just under 40 million, whatever it was. Do I think he's a centre-back that's going to take us again to winning proper trophies or competing in the latter stages of the Champions League or being in the top 6 of the Premier League? Probably not. He reminds me of just another Maguire. And I know I'm comparing to old players here. I think he probably is better than Maguire. Look, don't get me wrong. But you could argue he's actually not. Like, he's good in the air. He's physical. He can defend his own box. I would argue he's probably not as good on the ball as Maguire. I don't know. To me, they're very similar. If we start to want to play this so-called system where we get up the pitch and we're playing on the halfway line, do you trust De Ligt to be able to transition back to his own goal with a ball over his head? No. Can he sit back and defend his own goal like Maguire can in a back three? Yes. And that's how I'd be critical of De Ligt. Yoro is a young lad. He's had ups and downs. He's looked good over the last few weeks. But the jury's out, isn't he? He does look good. But he's like really young. Can he dominate that back four in the Premier League? There's still a long way to go to prove that Yoro is what we bought for that money. I like the way he steps into the attack. He's obviously quick and we're desperate for pace at the back. But we bought him with an injury. He went out with an injury. He's come back. He's injured again. You know what I mean? You can't just keep... It doesn't matter if Yoro turned into the next Maldini. If you can't stay fit, it's no good, is it? Mazwari. I think Mazwari's obviously been good for us. He's versatile. But I think in a top side, he's probably a squad player. Or he's just a player that goes under the radar and does a job fairly well while the rest of the team get on with it. I think Mazwari's probably our best signing and he was the cheapest. He can play in 2 or 3 positions. He very rarely puts a foot wrong. He's just a steady, decent squad player, and you can't really argue with Mazwari, I don't think. And that's what I would say about our signings. I don't know, you tell me, I don't want to go on about it too long, but we all said we had a good summer. I think we paid the right money for him, but does that make a good summer? Are the players as good as we think they are, is what I'm asking. And I would argue that they're not, especially not Agate. I think Dalit is steady, but won't take us anywhere in the future. And Yoro and Mazwari are probably decent. I think Dorgu needs a bit more time, but he looks really poor as well, in my opinion. He had a couple of games when he first come where he's up and down the touchline, not doing a lot, but at least running. But since he's bedded into the team and he's getting more of the ball, his quality looks really poor. You tell me. I mean, he cost nearly 30 million quid. Like, surely we can get a left wing back from the Premier League or somewhere for 30 million quid that we know is going to work. Not someone that's 20-year-old and you chuck him in the first team and you hope he's any good. I'm not really blaming Dorgu here. I don't think we should have bought him. I think we need to be buying players we know work. And I keep saying this. People seem to like disrespect players from the Premier League because you don't like the name or the English or the playing for Fulham, but you're quite happy to go and buy someone for 30 million quid from Torino. We've seen that the Europa League has proven that those teams are not very good. So when you stand out in those teams, you're still only an average player in most cases. But anyway, that's on about signings. What else do I want to talk about? I want to talk about what Amorim said a few things about the Europa League. And I've mentioned this in my last video where he said that we've not played well in the Europa League. And I've said that. The last 3 games, the other teams have got red cards, rightly or wrongly. It's allowed us to overrun them and dominate them. I mean, I've got a window up here. Can I get a few quotes up? What Amorim's been saying, yeah. Hopefully people can read that. Bear with. But I mean, yeah, let's have a quick look at what he's been saying here. I mean, some of Ruben Amorim's quotes. For me, it don't matter if we win the Europa League because the problems are bigger. There's this one. We're not scared of losing games at Manchester United. We don't fear anymore, and that's the most dangerous thing we can have. We're losing the feeling of being a massive club. We need to be strong in the summer. We need to be brave. I mean, in the Europa League, we don't play as well, but we have urgency. We will find a way. These games in the Premier League, we're not focused. We don't have that feeling. So what he's saying is in the Europa League, we're still playing poorly, but if you lose the game in the Europa League, you're out. So the sort themselves out, give the Sens a second wind and end up getting a goal, whereas in the Premier League, they just go through the motions and lose games. He's basically calling the players out there, saying there's massive problems. They've got massive mentality problems. They don't care about losing. And then he's basically said if they can't change past, if we can't change really fast, we should give our place to a different person. That's him saying if he can't change it around, then we need a new manager. And look, right, whatever you think about Amorim, whatever you think about him, like him, loathe him, think he's good enough, bad enough, whatever, if this was 3 years ago when we took Eric Ten Hag on, or however long ago it was, or if it was when we took Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on, do you think if we'd have won 5 Premier League games in 25, he would be the manager? No. There is no way Amorim would still be in a job in any other season but this season. And people say he's not had any of his own players. He's not had this, not had a window, not had that. It doesn't matter. It don't matter. You're a manager coming into a team. I think somebody said on another channel that when Amorim took over, we were 10th or something, maybe 8th, 4 points off top 4. We're now 16th and we've got 39 points. You can say, and this is what I wanted to say about Amorim as well, and not changing his system, sticking to his guns, and people who say that these players can turn it on when they want to turn it on. I don't believe any of that. Amorim is sticking to a 3 at the back, right? I would argue most of the time it's a 5 or 7 at the back. People say these players turn it on when we play the Liverpools, the Arsenals, the Cities in the big games. I don't believe that's true. What happens is Amorim is changing the system subtly. Against those teams, he's playing 7 at the back five with Casemiro and Agate, and he's leaving Højlund and Bruno and Garnacho up front to get in behind them and score, and it works. If you defend with 7 across your own box, it's extremely hard to score against. It's not these players turning up for those big games and miraculously turning into prime Barcelona and going winning them. No, they're sitting back, defending for 90 minutes and hoping to nick something. But then against any other team outside probably the top 4 or 6 in the Premier League, we're expected to have the ball and go beat them. And when we have the ball, we are shockingly bad. So what I'm saying is, if Amorim would have come in and maybe lost 4, 5, 6, 7 games and gone, we can't play the way I want to play with these players, with open, expansive, 3 at the back, get everyone forward football. I'm going to have to play this 7 at the back counter football until after the summer so we don't get relegated. We'd have more points. And he's still not changing his system. You're just playing the system differently, which he does anyway against top sides. If you get what I'm saying, he does it anyway. He sticks with a 3 at the back, but he makes it a 5 against top sides. When we play the worse sides, we try and go at them and we get overrun in midfield. And again, this goes back to the Agate, Bruno, Mainu, Casemiro, Eriksen midfield. Any 2 of them will not work in the Premier League versus physical 3 in the middle teams. And it's proven this season, because how many different combinations of midfield 2 have we had, and we've lost 17 games so far. So you can tell me Mainu works there. You can tell me Bruno's a pivot player. You can tell me Agate's amazing. You can tell me Casemiro is Casemiro. The fact is, none of them have done it in there. We need 2 defensive central midfielders as much as we need strikers. I guarantee if we go by 2 number 10s and a striker, or a number 10, a striker and a wing back, the same thing will happen in that midfield, where we're like a donut and we will still lose games. Yeah. And I'm going to touch now very briefly on Bruno Fernandes's statistics in the Premier League. And again, another reason why I don't think he is the saviour, or he's been incredible for us this season. So he's had 18 goal and assist involvements, right? In the Premier League, I'm talking, because it's where I actually count things to really matter, the Premier League. Assist-wise, let me get this straight for you here, right? Assist, 1 against Southampton, 3 against Leicester, 2 against Ipswich, and 2 against Everton. So he's got 1 against Liverpool and 1 against Brighton. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 assists. 8 of them are against teams who basically were going to get relegated. And when we played Everton, Everton were right down there in the relegation zone. So 8 of his 10 assists are against teams that basically were going to get relegated. His goals, 1 against Chelsea, which was a penalty. 2 against Leicester. 1 against Forest. 1 against City, penalty. 1 against Brighton, penalty. 1 against Everton. And 1 against Arsenal. So he scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 goals. 3 of them are penalties, so you can take them away because they're not. He's going to score penalties. So he scored 5 goals. 2 versus Leicester, 1 versus Everton. So the other 2 goals he scored were against Forest and Arsenal. So against any competent side in the Premier League, he scored 2 goals and 2 assists. And I know people will say, but this, but that, he does this, that, and the other. The stats don't lie. 18 goal and assist involvements in the Premier League, 11 of them are against relegation teams, and 3 of them are penalties. And I think 2 of them are free kicks. So, I don't know. You tell me what you think about them stats if you've got this far in the video, because when you actually, if you read 18 goal and assists for a midfielder in the Premier League, actually, yeah, that's pretty good. But when you go and study who they've all come against, you realise he's not doing it versus competent teams. He's only doing it versus the teams at the very bottom, which is why he's got such a good record in the Europa League. Because all the teams in the Europa League are at the standard of the teams at the bottom of the Premier League or worse. It's where he shines. And look, I don't want to dig Bruno out because he probably has been one of our best players this season, especially since Christmas. But to say he's our saviour, to say he's unsellable, to say don't sell him for 100 million plus. He's been here for 7 years next season. 3 as captain in 3 of our worst seasons ever. People talk about Maguire, Lindelof, Shaw. I don't know, Rashford's going to come back. Who else is there that's been here for ages or on too much money and you think get rid of him? He falls into the same bracket of he's been here through 3 or 4 or 5 managers. How many he's been here since? And we're still where we are with him. What is the problem with getting rid of Bruno? I don't think that if we lost him and bought 2 or 3 other midfielders, we would see a drop-off. I really don't. And if you're going to label everyone else with the being here for so many years, get rid of him, surely he falls into that category of player that he's been here for 6, 7 years. We are where we are, 16th in the league, plays every game, captain. He has to be talked about with those other players. And last of all, quickly, I just want to talk about hope. We are clinging on to hope, and it's like a little bit what I mentioned about Amorim before. In any previous season, he would have already been sacked. We are clinging on to that it's not his players. He's changing the system. He's saying all the right things. We've got new ownership. None of those are guarantees. None of what we've seen in the Premier League is any evidence that he can do this. What I've talked about the signings earlier, we all thought they were good signings. Are they really good signings? Give him a window. Give him a backing. It's all hope. It's hope. Because the evidence isn't there that he can do it. It isn't. You cannot go into any statistic of Amorim in the Premier League and say that the evidence is there that he can turn this round. You could argue we've had the worst season we've ever had. We've lost the most games we're ever going to lose in the Premier League. Less points. He's won 5 games of 25. The system doesn't work. And look, I am backing Amorim because we have to. All I'm saying is that any other year, he'd already be gone. And do we think if we give him 200 million, we're going to come round the other side at the start of next season and be a transformed team and winning games? Because I can tell you now, if we go into next season and we lose 4 or 5 of the first 10 games of the season, he is on the chopping block, big time. And that's not me saying that, that's everybody. Because he's getting a free ride this season because of when he come in the state the club's in. But if he gets a couple of 100 million in the summer and we're still losing games, he will be sacked in November or December, Christmas time. Because you cannot keep losing games as a Man United manager. It doesn't matter how well you speak, whose team you've taken over, the formation you're playing, who the ownership is, who you bought, who you sold. You cannot keep losing games and stay in the job. So he's either going to have to change and win some games, or he's going to have to recruit incredibly well and win games, because he will not be here at Christmas on this form. Absolutely no chance. But that is where I'm going to leave it. The topics of the video is how depressing the West Ham game was. Were the signings we signed last summer actually good enough? The Amorim in-out situation and how he has to perform. And Bruno Fernandes's stats over the course of this season. You drop me a message down below, a comment. Tell me what you think about Bruno and about Amorim. Where do we go from here as a Man United fan base and a Man United as a team? Because we are at the lowest of the low right now. Enough points for relegation, 16th in the league. Hoping on all hope the summer turns it around, and hoping on all hope we can beat another Premier League team in a Europa League final when we can't beat a Premier League team all season and we've already lost to Spurs 3 times this season. I'm going to leave you with that. Please like, favourite, and subscribe if you got this far in the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.